Different types of people who settled southeast Texas is really quite interesting.
Russ, all are proud of their heritages, but there probably isn't a group of people more proud than the Cajun.
Cajun roots run deep throughout the Triangle, and there's one man amongst us who represents those people like no one else, I guarantee.
He is AJ Judice, and he's called the Crazy Frenchman, and you're about to find out why. Weekend Magazine producer Dave Wilson has our story.
At first glance, this could be any grocery store in any town, anywhere in the country. There is nothing further from the truth. This is Judice's French Market in Port Arthur. There are all kinds of reasons this isn't your everyday corner grocery, and it all starts with the sign out front. Those glasses, that mustache, and the beret. Those have become the symbols of this tiny Louisiana-born Texan. AJ's folks came to Port Arthur from Louisiana and started the grocery store. At first, AJ wasn't too interested in the grocery business, but that all changed.
Well, of course, my mother and my daddy came from New Iberia and Lowerville, Louisiana, way back in 1918. My daddy arrived, and then they came and they started a little business. Well, he was in oil business first, and he ran out of oil, so he got in the grocery business. And with $500 in 1932, they finally got their own little store. My mother and my dad, little Cajun Queen and the Cajun King. And then they started this, and after 5 years of working hard, they said, man, I got enough to retire. So they went back to Louisiana, bought a farm, bought some mules, and built a house, and had the tractor was first coming out there. They bought a little tractor. And after about 6 months of milking them cows, he said, you know, this farm life ain't what it's cut out to be. I think I'm going back to Texas. So he started going about every other week, and he finally located his little store. And I didn't want to leave Louisiana. See, my heart belongs to Texas, but my rear end belongs to Louisiana. There's something about both states. They got something I like. But finally, after staying with my grandmother for 2 years, I came back to Texas and went to school. And then from 9 years old, I started liking the grocery business, and I didn't have to be paid to get in it, but I just liked it. I bagged many of bags of potatoes that we got from Sabine Pass, and then we sold them 10 pounds for a nickel. See, that was really some hot deal. And we had watermelons. Well, I forgot the price of them, but watermelon, cantaloupe, and of course shrimp. My daddy would catch shrimp. 69, 49 cents a pound. All these things we made our living on, but we went right to where they were produced. And of course, my mother brought this famous recipe, boudin, to Texas. She was the first one that produced produced boudin commercially. And she sold so many pounds a day. She made it every day. And people, once they tried our boudin, it's kind of like a dope. They had to have it. Sometimes they'd move away for thousands of miles. They'd come back to get our boudin. So she started boudin, and I started live crawfish, bringing them to Texas. And in fact, we had, we started them in some of the ponds here, and they started multiplying. And all these Cajun deals, well, we tried to instigate starting Texas, so it would kind of remind us of being in Louisiana. That's the next best thing.
Is that what started all the Cajuns coming across?
Well, really the oil business and jobs, that was the thing. But now Louisiana's got as much, or almost as much oil and as much jobs as Texas. So it's kind of a neutralized deal, you see. A lot of people, they can't forget Louisiana because it was 72% Cajuns in Port Arthur. And for some reason, these Cajun boys and girls, a lot of them came and they worked hard and everything, and they made many of them are retiring now. And now they go back to Louisiana and, of course, visit. But once you get into this part of Texas, it's like heaven in the skies. It feels like Louisiana, but you're in that Texas with all them jobs and everything. So this is why we're in Port Arthur, Texas.
This store was really built in a central area of Port Arthur, wasn't it?
Right. This was a German settlement, by the way. When my mother and daddy chose this lot, there was about, maybe 30 to 50 families, all German. We were the first Kunas that invaded this German settlement without firing a shot. We came in, we set up a little grocery store, and we handled what they wanted, but we converted them over to boudin. Even the Germans started bragging about boudin.
I finally got 10 bombers.
our fishing lady. She catch me sometimes some garfield, and how about
A lot of people who shop in Judice's French Market have done so for a long time. Some have lived in the neighborhood since the days of the interurban.
The Nervin track used to run right through that. That was a Nervin track that went to Beaumont, Texas. And we take a little ride on that years ago for 10 cents a ride. That was round trip, baby, so it was really a deal there.
How long did it take you?
Well, probably, see, around 33 1/3 minutes. And then coming back, it was a little bit more because you was against the wind. See, that south wind was so. All right. But anyway, now look, hot food, Dan. Go push. Come on, kid, just push. This right here, I tell you what, we've got to keep it away from the public. It's also like sometimes they fight over it. Some people.
Boudin is just one of AJ's weaknesses. Actually, any Cajun food would fit that category. But AJ is best known for boudin. AJ's mother makes about a ton of it a week for all kinds of stores and companies. That's enough to string from here to Crowley. Cajun food and the Cajun way of life. Those are very special to AJ Judice.
I love this Cajun culture particularly because I think we have done something in Texas and Louisiana to promote good living, the best of food. I think we have food that everybody would like to follow our secrets, maybe the seasoning and maybe the simplicity of it, but everything we cook, it sticks to your rib, Dave. Like say, when you eat one of our, say a piece of boudin, and we look at a man and we usually give him so many inches for the size, man. You probably about a 8 to 9 inch man, say. And you'd eat 8 to 9 inches, and it would stick to your ribs where you wouldn't get hungry for 8 to 10 hours. But you eat I don't want to say, but maybe a spaghetti or meatball, or maybe a hot tamale. That don't stick to your ribs as much as that boudin. So remember, if you want to work longer on a full stomach, eat Cajun food regular. And gumbo can be, I'll feed, say, 8 or 10 people. My wife is cooking that gumbo, and we've got chicken gumbo or shrimp. And all of a sudden, we got a table set. We see 2 pirogues coming down the bayou. And what he said, well, don't get it, Cajun don't have to be scared because the only thing they can do, they add a little more water and cook a little more rice, and they can serve 20 people off the same stuff, and they'll never know the difference. They'll all leave happy. So you can always stretch that Cajun food there. And couscous is my weakness. My mother makes a couscous. If you've never eaten couscous, it's like the first time you had sex almost. It just does something to you. And caillé on the side is even better, you know. So I recommend either one if you haven't tried that, Dave. If you'll notice, many of our items are not touched by human hands. It's just the coon-ass's hands with gloves on. They just, see, you'll notice...
When AJ is at the store, he's a one-man show. No one is a stranger. And you can find him bagging groceries or showing a customer the fine points of a jar of oyster. But AJ isn't at the store very much anymore.
I don't know, my sons, I got 3 sons and two daughters. My sons approached me a few years ago and said, Dad, how would you like to retire on cow buyer? And my eyebrows started wiggling. I said, what do you mean retire this young son? Look, Dad, let us take over your troubles. Let us take your grocery store. Let us run it for you. Let us get them from you. And anyway, they pushed me out gently. I didn't know I was really out, but you know, I started remodeling my place over there, and it's really to be lucky enough to retire at this age in life, to be on the bayou, where just like Louisiana, it's everything I dreamed about. I got my own little pirogue, and I got my own little wife there. She stays still barefooted, you know. Not as much pregnant as she used to be, but we got 1 child left, a little girl graduating this year. And I tell you what, it makes you, give you goosebumps to see your last child leaving the little nest, you know.
Well, AJ didn't retire to a rocking chair. He has this red sports car instead. Talking with AJ is a treat. To hear his stories and see him with people, you soon find out that AJ Judice is not only the crazy Frenchman, he's a man who loves life.
In TV's Hogans Heroes? Well, Werner Klemperer is no longer wearing a uniform, or a monocle for that